Okay.
Hello and good evening. We are a little bit later today than normally, but we are absolutely happy to have two wonderful flower ladies with us. Very much welcome Anette Badenhorst and Marieke Ric-Hansen from Kwazulu Natal from the Flower Arranging Association. Just like the two of you, introduce yourself a little bit, like why are you in flowers and when this all started and why an association in KwaZulu Natal. Tell us a bit about the story behind.
Annette, would you like to speak?
Let me start.
Whoever
Well, the very first time I really got.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah,
the
you
very
can
first
start
time
and then maybe Marieke.
Okay. The very first time I really got interested in flowers was when I attended the Pretoria Technical College and I just did a flower course. But then I was hooked and I joined a flower club in Pretoria. I then became their chair lady for a couple of years. And then I decided, no, I want to be a judge. Let's do the whole thing. And then I also qualified as a judge, teacher, and demonstrator. And then we moved to KZN.
Anette, how long ago is this? Like when did that start? Like how many years ago was that?
Well, in 1989, many years ago,
wow.
I qualified. And then I actually joined the KZN panel of judges in 1993. And I've been there ever since. Ever since. I was the president in 20. Sorry?
I just wanted to say you've been a president, actually. I just was going to say that.
Yes, I was in 2012 and 2015. And then Marieke took over and I've got it back again. So at present, I am, yes.
Okay. Marieke, tell us a little bit about your journey, like into flowers.
Well, my
journey, because you have somehow like a bit of flower background, right?
Not really, not from a child, no. I had open gardens in 1991, and the lady who was organising the open gardens for Rotary was Faye Fenn. And darling Faye Fenn, I don't know if you've ever heard of Faye Fenn. She had an estate agent, she was quite famous around KZN. So anyway, she came through the gardens and she said to me, you must come to the Floral Art Club and we're going to have a World Flower Show as well. You must come and have a look at the flowers and at the RCC. So I said, okay, well, I'll come up. Anyway, I went to the RCC in 1991. We had a World Flower Show in Durban, which was a great success. And then after the garden, she said, you will come to Hawke's Flower Art Club, but the meeting's on the second Wednesday. You must be there at 9 o'clock. And, Faye is quite a big, sort of tall person, and I was petrified in a way from her. She was, what Faye's like, very sort of, you will do this. And, you just say, yes, Faye. Anyway, the first meeting I was there, she needed a secretary, and she said to me, you will be the secretary. And I said, yes, Faye. And I was so scared to say no, what does it entail? And I've been in committees ever since. So, which I'm not really a committee person, and I'm, people say, please help us with this, and I'm always available to help. And with Annette, we've had a wonderful, what is it now, 9 years together, I think, in provincial council meetings. So we sort of basically, it's been wonderful. It's really been a fantastic journey. And then I've been very fortunate with I'll just tell you a little bit about the World Flower Show in Durban in 1991. They started off, Rosemary Ladlow, I actually phoned her the other day to get some dates and maybe some little info about the World Flower Show. And she said it was a 3-day event. Obviously from around the world, everybody came. From Europe, from America, from Australia, obviously from Africa, Kenya, India, Pakistan, everybody came. And they had lots for 3 days. They had 51,000 people coming through. And
Wow. In 1991.
yes, 51,000 people
99.
came through.
Mm.
And they had the sort of feedback after the show with the RCC and all the directors and everybody. And the show was run by Rosemary Ladlow, who was the Safu, no, not the Safu, the Navachi lady, I think. And then
That's right.
other, yes, and then there was somebody who was organising the show, and then the Safu, it was an actually Safu show, World Flower Show, not a KZNAFA one. So, so there were lots of ladies, sort of, housewives, who organised the show. And the director of the RCC after the show said, "It's amazing what a couple of housewives can organise." And that was amazing, really amazing. I mean, that was one of the first big shows of the RCC. It just been built, so it was very good promotion for the RCC and also for South Africa. I think it was wonderful. Did you win a prize in it for that show, on that show?
Yes,
That's amazing
yes,
to
yes.
hear that, actually. Yeah.
That was my first world show that I ever took part in. And I was lucky. I got a first in the praise singer, very South African themed a class. Yes.
What was it what you have done there?
Well, I worked a lot with palm sheaths and a lot of beads and some leopard skin, material. Because in the tribal, nations, especially the Zulus, they have praise singers, who praise, their important people. Yes, their chiefs.
Wow. I mean,
Yes.
I hear a story I have never heard before. This is really amazing, and this shows actually, like, when we have these chats, we always discover something what we have never expected or we have never heard before, something. And it's so interesting to get into like everyone's stories and to hear like where it all started. And
very historic.
yes.
I mean, it's
Yes.
amazing, and it's amazing that you two are here and like can really like give this first-hand experience still to a lot of people. I mean, we know that the flower world as we know it right now, there are a lot of young people out there, obviously a lot of aspiring new florists, but also like people who maybe just have a dream to become a florist one day. And with you, with your wealth of knowledge and experience, I think that is really unique, and it needs to be preserved in a way, like to really showcase to people also what you have done for the industry. Can I ask you, when you look at your association now, like tell us a little bit more about like how many people do you have right now, and what is the idea behind the association? Like why is it there, and for whom is it?
Okay. Well,
Well, you can, Marieke.
Okay, I'll start off with the first club in Durban was Durban Floral Art Club, and they started in 1956 on their own, a tiny, it must have been a smallish club. And slowly it built up and different clubs arrived through KZN, in those days Natal. Then Rosemary Ladlow went overseas to a World Flower Show, and she went to Belgium, and then the WAFA organisers said to her, "You must get everybody together. There needs to be a union or a society that you belong to, and then you can represent the World Flower Association, because in those days you could only enter a World Flower Show if you were a member of the World Flower Association." So Rosemary Ladlow and a few other ladies, she said she travelled a lot throughout the whole of South Africa and try and get the provinces to combine clubs, because we as KwaZulu Natal, there are 3 panels. There's teachers, demonstrators and judges, and then we've got 7 clubs throughout Natal, and each province has got their own, they've got the 3 panels and then they've got their own clubs. and they all represent together to belong to SAFU, which is our umbrella body of South Africa, is the South African Flower Union, not SAFU with the R, not the South African Rugby Union. Often people get that wrong. They say you belong to SAFU. We say no, SAFU without the R. But it's and originally Rosemary was saying that the flower club started from long way back. The housewives had belonged to a women's institute. I don't know if you've heard of those sort of types of societies. And they do everything. They do from agricultural to what we are decorative. We are classified as decorative flowers, as opposed to agricultural, which is the cabbages and the pawpaws and that sort of thing. And they slowly pulled away from the Women's Institute and formed their own flower clubs, per se. And then from that, you also get garden clubs coming from there. So that's basically how the provinces, they have their own association, and we all belong to, as I said, to SAFU. And SAFU belongs to, well, we all belong to the World Association of Flower. So we all belong to an association, and then when they started to organize SAFU, they started to try and more structure the teaching of the demonstrators and teachers. And we started off with a national design diploma. That's the first diploma that you take, and it just progressed from there. There was nobody who sort of said to Rosemary, you need to organize the teachers or you need to organize the demonstrators. It was a natural sort of movement that went through.
So for who is the association? Can everyone actually be a member of your association, or is there something that you have to fulfill to become a member?
I'll carry on a little bit, yeah? Yes, all the clubs are associated, they're in a province and then they pay fees and they associated, with SAFU, because you have to be an associated member of SAFU to be able to take part in the world shows. Remembering that we are floral artists and not florists, as such. We have brilliant... Yes. So that's our little difference. And then the 8 provinces all get together because SAFU has their own meetings, and everyone gets together. And that's where, at the executives, where everything's decided. Our main aim, obviously, is to promote flowers and then also to standardize the standard of flower arranging throughout South Africa.
Okay.
SAFU has... Sorry?
No, carry on. Carry on.
No, I was going to say KZNAFA has about 352 members, and SAFU has about 1,590 members.
Wow. So when I do understand correct, like every floral designer in KwaZulu Natal can become a member. Is that correct? Understood?
Oh, yes. Yes, absolutely. You can join a club, and you can even become an independent member if you haven't got a club, near you.
Mm-hmm. And what I'm interested in, like you also spoke about, there is members, there is a teacher, and there's judges, correct? Like this is like the 3 different categories you are having in your association. Like how one can become a judge and how can one become a teacher? What is it what you have to fulfill? Like as a teacher, for example, do you have to go to certain courses or things like that? Same maybe as a judge. How, like for me, this is something new. I just wanted to hear like how it works. Maybe a lot of people know already, but I'm quite interested to see like how is this process?
Well, yes, the teachers panel, they teach. So the first thing that they will teach, you will do a course with them, is a national diploma. And then once you've got your NDD, which is your National Design Diploma, you can then decide what do you want to do. Do you want to teach? And then you will do the teaching exam, the teacher's exam, or you can do a demonstrators and then a judges. You need at least 3 years in between, all of these different exams. And all the exams are set by SAFU, so they're all standardized. And it's always a few papers that you write. There'll be theory papers, and then there'll be practical, exams that are marked by judges that come from all the provinces. So everyone is involved.
Wonderful. That sounds like a very nice cooperative, like bunch of people that come together. I mean, like as I hear.
It's very organized, but for first to be able to do your design diploma, that's your first step of going into learning more structured sort of, if you want to go to teachers or demonstrators or judges, you need to have your design diploma. Now, to be able to start your design diploma, it's a whole process. It takes about 7 years from entering your first competition until judges. I mean, people will say,
Wow.
brain surgery doesn't need to study for that length of time. It's 7 years because it's part-time work, and it's not. You need a certain amount of time. You start off with competing first of all. You need to have 3 goals in your competition over a 3-year period, which you think sounds quite easy, but it's not at all when you start off being a novice. Then after you get 3 golds in competition, you go back to intermediate. From intermediate, you need 3 golds within a 3-year period, and then you go to advanced. And then once you've been in advanced, you need, I think, also 3 golds to go. And they've got a little bit easier now with the NDD because we want to promote younger people to come forward and do it. We don't want to really stress anybody out to do the diploma, so they only need a lower mark to enter the NDD, and it's quite a long time. I mean, in my day when I did mine, I couldn't wait to get a gold, and you try and do something different, and you try and break the rules because there's lots of rules and regulations that you have to follow. It's a whole, I don't know if you know that we all have these called the Judge's Handbook, which is a whole thick book with rules and regulations.
Wow. That sounds very un-African, I can just tell you.
Well,
No, I think it's great that there is a guideline,
Yeah.
that there are
they
rules
are.
that are standardized. Yes,
Yes.
I think it's
we follow
important also to have a certain level of standardized like learning as well, and I think that is amazing to see that.
And we have lots of people already here, like Hendra. She is a big fan of you ladies in Natal.
Yes.
Even like Farida Karim from Pakistan. I mean, like we have had her in another session with a demonstrator from Hong Kong.
Yes.
That
Yes,
was
I
very
think
nice,
I've
actually. So this is a whole little flower world, let me say like
It
that.
is. It's one big family.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Do you think, like, let me ask like one question, because I don't want to step too much deep into it, but the love for flowers actually is uniting all of us. Nonetheless, like during the last flower show, or the last and the first flower show in Johannesburg, we have experienced that even though that we all work with flowers, there is certain like animosities. Do you think we should just like try maybe even a little bit harder to get all people that love flowers together under one umbrella?
Or maybe, sorry if I
yes.
what are the values that your association is trying to really like bring out into the market? Like what is the values that you say we as the Flower Arranging Association, this is what we want to promote through our platform?
Well,
I think we want to, sorry, Marieke. I think we want to stimulate and encourage raise the standard and the love of flower arranging, and promote contact between all flower arrangers. You know, all the facets through workshops, demonstrations, exhibitions, and festivals, you know, so that we all get to enjoy the flowers on all different levels.
That's wonderful to hear. Like,
Yes,
just what you
no,
want to add, Marieke?
no, just very similar to what Annette's saying. That's you know, we are all voluntary workers, so we have to do fundraisers. And fortunately, we get given money to do a fundraiser in a shopping centre, for instance. So we can put on a show, a big show in a shopping centre, or in Maritzburg at our little Chelsea in Maritzburg, the Witness Garden show. So we're very fortunate that we get sponsored by, you know, very generous people. So then
Do
we
you
can
get
make
sponsored
ourselves.
by local farms, maybe, or is it sponsorship by normal like donations of money, and you can then buy the flowers?
Yes, no, we get sponsorship by the if it's a shopping centre, by the owners of the shopping centre or the partners. With in Maritzburg, with Peter Maritzburg, we're very lucky that we get Tanya Vissers involved there, and she very generously sponsors money for us, to us. And then we've just had an email to say that this year has been cancelled, which is the first time it's been cancelled, I think, for about, I don't know, they've had the show for 60 years, I think, in Maritzburg.
Wow.
That's right.
Yeah.
So,
Yes,
Very
it's very
sad.
sad. Very sad.
yes. And the other sad thing
Yeah.
is that, you know, our membership, average age, I think, is more than 60, definitely more than 60 years, maybe more than 70 years on average. And, you know, we try to encourage young people. And in this day and age in South Africa, it's very difficult. The young people have gone to work. Then you organize maybe a club on a Saturday morning, but then they have small children and they go and play sports with the children. At night is definitely night is out.
Yeah.
Nobody travels at night. And, you know, then it's very challenging to us to try and encourage more people to come to clubs.
Yeah, can imagine.
But if people are interested, like to become a member, like where do they actually sign up? Like where do they have to go? If there's a website, is there like what is there? Like how do you basically sign up to become a member?
There's a website. There's a website. There's a website, a SAFU website, and that's got all the details of all the provinces. And we've got the Facebook that Marieke runs, which is wonderful. And we often get phone calls, people that are interested, and then we tell them where the nearest club is. And then you just go to the club and you go a few times, and then if you're hooked, you actually join. There are lots of members who don't really do designs because, you know, there's a competition every month and there's a demonstration. So you get to learn a lot about flowers. And there's always an absolutely delicious tea. And I can tell you, lots of the ladies go for the tea. They do. But, you know, so it's their social outing. But they love flowers, you know. They want to see the flowers as well. So everybody welcome.
Sorry. I think this is important, this companionship, you know, and also to make friendships out of the same passion that people have. And I hope that you also, like, and in your circle, you have like gained friends over the love of flowers and like over the love of like bringing people together, like through flowers. And I mean, this is why we also do this, because I mean we love flowers and we get to meet so many amazing people through the love of flowers, and I think this is also what drives us, even when you say you do this like basically on the side and it is not like a full-time job, but it is something that you enjoy because it brings people together that are like-minded and that have like the same ambition and the same view for beauty and the same love for flowers.
Absolutely. And you know, the funny thing is this COVID has really locked us all down. But all these old ladies that said poo-hooed the internet and Facebook, you can't believe how attached they are to Facebook. suddenly they all want to see what's happening, you know. They, so, but it does,
I,
and I must say, you know, with you talking about the show Joburg last in November. Um, there was never, you know, with us, there, everybody gets on well with each other. We're all on the same boat. And I was supposed to judge there. I was invited to judge, and then some of the classes were stopped, so they didn't need as many judges then. But so hopefully it will happen this year in November.
we all cross
We
our
cross our
fingers. We
fingers,
had
yeah.
Michael on the show, like he was the second person that we interviewed, and we
Saw
crossing
that.
our fingers for the
Yes,
show.
I saw that. Yes, no, that'd
Yes.
be wonderful. That'd be wonderful. I didn't go up at the time, but no, there are some wonderful people in the flower world. You know, I meet people overseas. Fortunately, I've got family overseas, so I've got the luxury sometimes, well, to book when there's a show on, and then I can, you know, see the family and go to a show there as well, which I'm very lucky and fortunate for about. And like I met Pim van der Akker, and then he saw that we do for an outreach program with children. We go to schools to do flower art with children that are
Wow.
physically handicapped, or you know, they've got special needs, children with special needs.
Uh-huh.
And then he saw I post some pictures on Facebook, and the next minute he sends all his books to me to show the children. I mean, he doesn't really know me at all. He just knows me through Facebook. That's all he knew, and he sends a whole lot of books for the children, and they've got them at the school at the moment.
That is amazing.
No, it's
I just
people are
want to
very
offer you
generous.
something. Whenever you go back to these kids with a little class, get back to me. I would be happy to offer you flowers to work with the kids.
Thank you.
Oh,
That's
wonderful.
so generous.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. At the moment, we
Most
started off with the children at Brown School. We started off with 25 children. It's now reaching 100 children. Last year we didn't do much because the two ladies involved are really the main lady, Helen Ballou and Vaughan Harrington. They were busy last year, and Helen had a fall, so they didn't have. But thank you. We're always looking for sponsorship, and thank you very much. Thank you very
most
much.
welcome, and in particular kids, and also like kids with special needs. They are close to our heart. So
Thank
we
you.
are happy actually to support
Thank
ideas
you.
like that.
Thank you. And it really shows that flowers, and when working with nature, those children are relaxed. Some of them are ADD. What have they got? Autism. They've got physically um, problems with physically. They're in wheelchairs. And the one child has got a terrible nervous twitch in her mouth. But we didn't realize that. Only when the teacher came into the classroom, she said, "Look, she hasn't got a nervous twitch," when she was working with flowers. Somehow it just relaxed that child, and everybody does that. But now I've got 4 boys, and I go to a deaf school, Fulton School, which is just down the road. And those children have also, and they're not only deaf, but they've also got autism, and they've got other issues as well, which is quite difficult. So you basically have to, you know, like paint with numbers, paint by numbers. You do the same with flowers. You do them one step at a time. And then we've got a translator translating with sign language what I'm doing. And then they have little conversations in between them, which I don't realize what they are. But it's quite funny, those little boys, they really are. But they're very creative, very, very creative children.
It's very surprising always working with kids because they have an amazing creativity. Sometimes I'm asking like at what point in life between childhood and adulthood we are losing something. When you see kids, like it's unbelievable how creative the most of them are.
That's right, yes. No. Well, that's what Pim van Eyck always says, never become an adult. You must always stay a child. You must always remain a child. And another very good tip that he gave us, he said, when you're doing a design, He says, look at it and see whether you like it or not. He says, don't have any doubts about it. All your doubts come from other people. And it's so true.
That's
You think,
right.
Yes.
how does,
It
you know,
is.
so you
Mm.
must
It
really do,
is.
and if you feel that it's not right, it's not right. Then you says you must start again until you are happy with it. And if you're happy with it, then it's okay. And it's so true.
That's very encouraging, actually, particularly for little kids. But coming back actually to also like your work that you are doing, and I see when I follow your Facebook group a little bit, you are, Marieke, a very big fan of what international floral designer are doing. So you share a lot of posts of what they do and how differently they design things. Do you see that this has an impact on your own members, like in their creativity?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah,
It's the same.
mm,
Whatever
definitely.
you've got at home isn't whatever somebody else has got on the other side is always much better than you. They love
Mm.
the overseas people love our heliconias and our hibiscus, and we love the tulips, and we are never happy. So I think so because I think we in South Africa we sort of very traditional in our way of thinking and a way of doing. Don't you think
Yeah,
so, Nan? And I think the rest of
yeah.
the world really opens up
Yes, yes.
eyes to everybody
Mm.
that there's a different world. But I know with new contemporary design work, I can hear sometimes they're complaining that it's becoming too arty and too crafty, um, which you end up making constructions and sort of different things with contemporary work, which you don't do with traditional work.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Annette?
Well, flower arranging is not static. It's ever changing
Yeah.
and ongoing, and it's so much interest. It's interesting to learn and see all these new things. So we often will ask if we're setting a schedule for the show for contemporary work, and pre-construction things that we haven't been doing so much of. But yes, always interesting. And overseas, they like our flowers just as much because we've got a really bold way of design, and we don't have to stand back, to any of the
No.
designers or arrangers anywhere else. Um, we've got the most beautiful plant material too.
Most definitely.
So there
And
we
I
are.
can just tell you, when I met first time Karen Tran, like 5 years ago, when she came here to South Africa to give her flower class, and we hosted her. So it was for us very much surprising that she was asking for proteas. She said, "Can I actually see a protea?" And we actually gave her a whole bunch. And we got to know that in America, you pay almost like $30-40 per one stem. Like, that's why this is a luxury flower over there, which
Stem.
is actually already like a very natural flower in our, maybe in a lot of people's gardens. So this is the difference, like what you say, the grass is
No,
always greener on the other
absolutely. And
side.
and the way that we all
We've lost you.
we're losing each other.
No,
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 I
we
can
hear
hear.
you. We hear you. Just carry on. We hear you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're back. We're back.
Yes, yes.
I was just going to say that all over the world, everybody has got their own styles. So when you travel around and they come and we actually get international, artists to come and demonstrate. Yeah, we're hungry, to see what's happening all over, and the workshops make it so much easier to make it your own. But like I was at the 13th World Show in India, and I mean their work is so different, from ours. They do stunning work, but it was so different, so amazing, and we couldn't wait to come back to share it, with everybody here. And then we went into lockdown.
And
But
that
as
was,
a flower importer, I have maybe a question like also, like we know that we have wonderful and amazing flowers here, like in South Africa, that everyone works like perfectly. But when you go overseas or in other countries, then you also get to know like that other like designer work with other flowers, with hyacinths, with daffodils, with I don't know, with gloriosas, and so on and so forth, which mostly have not been available in the country, and that's why, like, because we've been missing them very much as Europeans, we missed, actually, in brackets, our flowers. We started importing them. Do you feel like that in your part of the flower industry, or of the floral like design industry, I call it industry, although that is not an industry itself, you would work more with also exotic flowers, or flowers from outside, or is it just that people say we take what we have?
no, I think
Well,
the main,
yeah, so Marieke,
sorry, Anette, the main
it's
objective
you.
I think is the price. I think, our ladies are on pension sometimes, or, they're sort of over the age that they're earning a salary. So they need to be careful price-wise. But to get back to the Gloriosa, I mean, Gloriosa is supposed to be an indigenous flower in South Africa, in our country, in our province. You cannot buy Gloriosa. And that flower is too magnificent for words, for design, and, magnificent. So I don't know why we have to import them from overseas. But I think generally our members would really use what they've got here. And not too many people have got access to the market, because you need to earn, use a certain amount of money before you can get a card for the market. So they either use whatever they've got from their gardens, or get flowers from a florist, or something like that. And yeah.
It is maybe also interesting, just listening. I mean, like, I always have an open ear for things, and want to try, like, to open up new possibilities for people. We are in the process of establishing different agents in the country, which mostly is either a florist or a company that has worked with flowers before. And we are also getting one lady in KwaZulu Natal to become our agent for our preserved flowers. I just come back a little bit later to the preserved one, as well as for fresh flowers. So maybe if in future you want to get Gloriosa, so I can just offer you to ask us, and we can deliver this to our agent, and maybe then you can also like work for with your designs with different flowers.
Yes, that would be wonderful. Are you allowed to tell me who she is? Do we know her?
I will tell you. I just spoke to her this morning, and we have to finalize this, but I will definitely tell you. And
You will be first to know.
Yeah,
you will be first to know, because it is
Yeah,
Natal.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I see
it
your
will be
peonies.
wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
I see your
I mean, like,
peonies.
you don't have to buy like 5 millions. There is like a possibility to buy 10 Gloriosa. That's perfect. It is no problem. What we have seen the last couple of months, I would say, is a big trend in going with preserved flowers, or with like also colored flowers. Is this also something that you see in your field of the floristry, of the flower design, that people go towards this? Or is this still something what you say as floral designer, like this is not what we a way that we want to go?
Would you like to say something, Anette?
Well, I think that probably in a very small way, but certainly not in the majority of the sort of designs that we do. But we would, it would work. But basically, I think we're going to stick to the natural, plant material, fresh plant material that you get. But it would be the answer to a lot of things, and you could include it in a class, which would be wonderful.
Yes, I think maybe for demonstration you could use preserved and maybe, but for competition it's an absolute no-no because you have to use fresh plant material. You cannot use anything but, and that fresh plant material has to dominate as well. So I think from that aspect, maybe, but as you say, Annette, if you make a class, maybe make it a big class so you can really go crazy and do something.
I think it's just great for texture. Like personally, and I mean design. Design, as you also said before, is about creativity. And what we see as exclusive flowers, what we want to bring to the table is I always call it, I want to like give you as much paint as possible to create a picture as a designer. Whether you're going to use it is to say, I see this, when I see the XYZ flowers, this is what I can use, and this is what I can use to do it my own. Because as you rightfully say, everyone is creative in a completely different way. And this is the beauty of the business, This is the reason why, like, some people see something in like only natural textures, or some will see something in natural textures, combining it maybe with preserved fresh flowers, and we're still talking about fresh flowers. It's not artificial flowers.
No, not artificial.
It's fresh flowers that maybe have been tweaked a little bit in their color or in their shade, to just like give the design world a little bit of a different possibility,
a bit of happiness,
a bit more color. And I think this is
because
what we're doing in this time.
That's great, because if they're preserved, if they're flowers that are preserved, they are still flowers, and then we will just have fresh plant material to predominate. Doesn't mean you can't use them at all.
no.
So there would definitely be a market.
Really, like what we just right now are on. I mean, just like we have Banksia, and we like provide Banksia in different colors. It is a fresh flower, and it is in a soft pink tone, or in a white. It is bleached, or it is colored a bit. So you can actually play a little bit around with this beautiful texture, like in another color. And I think this is also the fun part of our job, I mean, I'm absolutely with you that nothing can compete really against a natural flower. But also there is lots of young people, when it comes maybe for home decoration, or like for modern like artists, installations. So for those young people, this is a kind of a bridge, I think, that we can inspire them to floristry.
Exactly. That Banksia, I use that a lot. I mean, that's, I mean, you know it, and it lasts for so long. You can leave it out, or you can do whatever you like with it. It's amazing. That it really is amazing.
Yeah.
Now that I've used in
you can see the change when it opens, like it changes even the color.
Amazing. No, it is. I love using that. You'll be seeing one of
that
my
sounds wonderful. Yes.
Yes.
That sounds wonderful.
I have to sit at one
wait.
time on one table, and I have to listen to you, and you have to see what I can offer you maybe for your new creativity.
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. No, that sounds wonderful. I must say, lots of people don't have gardens, so their houses aren't full of flowers, and they'd love to have something. I myself, I don't have flowers. I have lots of foliage. So I would fill my house with this wonderful, preserved material that you have.
Yes.
I just have to show you this rose, man. I have to show you this rose.
Oh,
wow.
Oh, beautiful.
Rose.
amazing. Oh,
Magnificent.
wow.
So you have to show off because the roses are nearly
Yes, definitely. This is the beauty, and I think also we're gonna see maybe even more private people to enjoy the hobby, maybe even to have something to do with flowers. And I think this lockdown period has shown a lot of people that they need to be closer to nature, or that they want to be closer to nature. I mean, for those who maybe did not have a garden, and there are still many people that did not have a garden, that maybe just live in a flat or in a house, but not have a big garden around them, they miss the connection to nature. And I do believe that this time also will trigger for people to be more connected to going outdoors, to just experiencing flowers, to just having the possibility to smell. Like when I see your rose, I want to smell the rose, you know?
Yeah.
So it's really something that people, like, I think were missing, or still are to a certain extent missing. And this will trigger like really a little bit a hype to say, you know what, if I can, and if this flower arranging, and if this is something that brings me joy, then this is like where I want to be creative, because it's a beautiful way of being created. And with the preserved flowers, I mean, you can look at it for months and months to go, you know, like
That's
you don't
right.
need to replenish
Yes.
like the fresh blooms. You have something like that you can look at and smile at for a long, long time. And I think this is something that that will make also a difference in the way how we offer flowers.
That's right.
I mean, people like speak a lot about being fair to nature. I mean, this is also an aspect, you know, also as designers, that we have to consider, or that designers have to consider. I mean, obviously there is a cut flower industry for a reason, but if we can also, in a way, with preserved flowers, play a little bit a part in being sustainable, why not?
That's right. Yes, absolutely. You know, South Africans are rather spoiled with the weather and with the gardens. They're not like, I'm from Europe as well, same as you. In Europe, everybody's got fresh flowers in their houses. Here in South Africa, they don't. And now, every time I have a demonstration, I try and entice the people. I say, you please bring something from your garden into your home. Put it on the dining room table. You walk past your dining room table 10 times a day. If you've got a beautiful rose, take it off, because you're not going to go to the rose garden to look every 10 times a day. You're going to pass the dining room 10 times a day. You don't, you know, I think that whole sort of culture of getting something inside the home in South Africa is not, they're not there. You've got to try and improve, you know, change that.
Yes. And finally, what I also maybe like think, like, even that we all actually shocked about COVID, and it has affected so badly, like all our lives all over the world. It has a couple of good things actually. Like, first, maybe that a lot of people talk more to each other. They have time to speak to each other about things that they like and love. And also in South Africa, I cannot resist to say I like to see that florists that have been event florists, like in the past only, now they come up and deliver flower bouquets to your home. And I just love that. I just love that, because I was missing so much these little flower shops that we have in Europe on each and every corner. And now this is a little bit away through the back door, let's say, that people come and bring you flowers home. And I just like the idea.
They're very personal. Then suddenly becomes emotion. I think is a lot with flowers, design, and everything. Emotions is an element that is never. Sorry, there's my husband.
No
Bringing me
problem.
up.
Hello, husband.
Hello. Well, he just want to say it's enough now. We have to
It's
close
time for dinner.
Okay, well, it was lovely chatting to you all. And thank you for making us a piece of the puzzle, because we were always ignored, and you're the only first one that's actually wanting to be put into the piece of the puzzle, being a piece. So I'm very grateful to you. Thank you.
It was a great pleasure.
Yes, no,
Please.
I agree. And I don't know of anybody who doesn't love flowers. You know, flowers are a really big part, I think, of everybody's lives. We can never have enough.
That's right.
Correct.
Oh, I totally agree with you. I totally agree.
I think they are the way to everyone's heart. Thank you so much, ladies, for your time and for your passion and for what you're doing for an industry. And I think education is a big part of also your passion. And I think it's super important because the more people also know more about flowers, the better it is for an entire industry.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward maybe to introducing like some of the newest flowers that we have, so that we can bring also people's like joy, like
and creativity.
yes, to the table.
Thank you.
And we wish you in the meantime good health, stay healthy, stay safe, and never lose your passion for flowers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been lovely speaking to you. And we can't wait for these flowers. I'm telling you, we will create new classes just to incorporate them.
Oh, wonderful.
We will stay in touch. We have like our contact details, and I would be very happy to see like what creativity actually is coming out of that. It was lovely talking to the two of you, and it was very informative. I learned a lot, I must say. Very interesting, like going back in history a bit as well. So thank you so much for sharing your stories, and all the very best to you and your families and all your members.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.